Oh, what the fuck? Is it on? Holy shit. Alright, here we go. Fucking unbelievable. God damn. These fucking things. Come get your God. Jesus Christ.
I won't ever slack up, punk, you better back up. Try and play the role and you're the whole crew will act up. Get up, stand up, come on, throw your hands up if you got the feeling. Jump up, touch the ceiling, monsters of funk flow. Someone's talking junk, yo, I'll bust them in the eye. And then I'll take the punks out, feeling funky. Amps in a trunk and I got more rhymes than this cops at a junkie. Donut shop, sure enough, I got pop from the kids on the hill plus my mom and my pops. I came to get down, I came to get down. So get out your seat and jump around, jump around, jump around. Jump around, jump up and get down. Jump, 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 everybody jump, 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 everybody jump, jump, jump. I'll serve your ass.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Crush Live Call-Ins. I'm your host here, Bart Hanson. And of course, if you want to call in a hand, you can do so by just basically pre-submitting. I don't know. I have a new computer. I had some technical difficulties just now. Never had that happen before. The encoder just didn't stream, but I restarted and we're on. So let's do this thing. Here we go. Thank you guys who are on hold here. For some reason, when I went into the website too, like the chat, like earlier today, it was broken. And I don't know what the fuck was going on. But anyways, let's just get into it here. All right, here we go. Crush Live Call-Ins. We do this every Monday at 4:45 p.m. Pacific time. Here we go. DJ, you're up first. Thank you for being patient. Hello.
All right. Hi.
How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good.
So this hand starts off 2-5 at a Windstar 700 effective.
Okay. Give me 1 second
plus-
here as I'm settling in. I want to pop up the chat.
Oh, okay.
All right. So everybody can see this, I'm assuming now. All right, cool. 2-5 Windstar, right?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Yep.
+2 raises to 25.
Okay.
Hijack and Button. Button, who is the main villain, both call, and Hero calls in the big blind with ace-4 of clubs.
Hijack and Button call.
Right.
Hero calls with ace of clubs, 4 of clubs, right? Okay. So, wait a minute. Did I just go back? Did this thing just go offline? Hold on 1 second here. Why does it say that it... if it goes offline, we're just going to continue on because, yeah, I need to record the show. So, we'll just continue on here. Guys on the phone, I don't know. Huh.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't. It's now it says that it's offline, and I have no idea. Is it offline? Is it online? I still see myself. It says I don't know what the hell is going on. Oh, it's still live. Okay. All right. Cool. So +2, 25, hijack and Button call. Hero calls the ace-4 of clubs. Did you ever consider squeezing here? You know, you are incentivized to squeeze a little bit with the dead money in between.
Yeah, I considered it, but I've kind of been laying off a little bit with these lower hands in my range. I would definitely go for it with like a king, queen, king, jack type of hand, but I'm just not getting a lot of fold equity, and I just end up playing these really bloated pots.
Yeah, I mean that can definitely happen because you said that you're coming from an online perspective too, right?
Right. Yeah.
And I think one of the things that happens too is that you raise and like you get into a very, very bloated scenario, right? Like very bloated, where
Right.
you know you're not going to have a whole lot of stacked up. So I don't mind just the call here. So you make the call. So 25 call, hero calls on the button. Okay.
Right. No,
Yep.
heroes in the big blind. Uh,
Sorry.
the flop is ace of spades, 10 of diamonds, 4 of spades.
Ace of spades,
And
10 of diamonds, 4 of spades. Okay, yes, I remember this one. So you flop top and bottom. You're in the big blind. +2 to 25. Hijack and button call. Hero calls in the big blind. I'm sorry, for some reason I thought you were on the button. It makes a whole lot more sense, right? You're closing the action in the big blind, so you just call. Okay, so you flop top
right,
and top and bottom here, right? Ace 10 4.
right.
Yep.
And I decided to lead into the field 25, 4 away. I don't know. Like I said earlier, I feel like I'm just clicking buttons in these multi-way spots. I don't know if I should check or lead, but I decided to go for the small lead here, just kind of like
I mean, it's
make people
definitely
decide.
it's definitely peculiar, I would say. But if you do want to develop a lead out range, basically like into a multi-way pot, I don't mind the play. I'm not exactly sure why you'd bet so small though here. I mean, if I was going to lead out, I would bet like 60 to 70. I mean, the more you go in the higher stakes, right? Like the more like, you might just check all the time here, but I don't hate the lead out, but it's definitely very small. So you made it 25. What did the pre-flop raiser do in +2?
So the two guys in between both fold, preflop raiser
Okay.
and hijack,
Fold,
and
fold. Okay. Yep.
the button clicks it back to 50. And she's a reg. I don't know if she's any good, but I don't know. This seemed ridiculous, but I called because I thought bet three betting here is clearly an overplay
Actually, I don't
four
think
ways.
so. This is really interesting. I actually don't think that it's that. When I looked at this hand at first, I understand what you're saying, and if you're not familiar with a lot of these live patterns, it'll be interesting. I think the really interesting part is what you're going to say here is on the turn. Normally, like a raise size like this is very, very indicative of just top pair. When you look at like a hand like ace 10, pocket fours, pocket tens, they're not going to min raise you. It's against the field caller. While I would agree that sometimes it could be an overplay against the pre-flop raiser, against this sizing, because you let out so small, I actually would bet three bet here. I really would. Like
Okay.
because you bet so small and because it's a min raise, I would bet three bet here. I would probably go to 125 and take it and take the betting lead back and play for a big, big pot here. You said that the lady is a reg because a lot of times if you check, they're just going to check it back. You will also figure out, or you'll be able to figure out like the basically the strength of their hand also too if you do just call and check the turn by the sizing. So it sounded to me like you call. Is that right?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess my instincts are a little bit off for live poker,
Yeah.
but yeah, I called, and the turn rolled off six of hearts. So the
Okay.
pot is around $200,
Okay, so you
and
lead
I
out.
checked it.
So hold on a second. So you lead out for 25, raise to 50. You call. Pot's 200. You have ace four clubs, ace of spades, 10 of diamonds, four of spades. Turns to six of hearts for the podcast listeners. You check, and what happens?
And she bets 60, so it's around a little bit over one-fourth pot.
Oh wow, you got to be kidding me here. So check. Button bets 60. This is you have the best hand here like 100% of the time. Now this
Okay,
sort of leads up to kind of a interesting thing. I call it like upfront betting, which is a sort of a term that I made up. It's not normally in this particular spot. The question here is that you definitely have the best hand. We'll see sometimes I actually advocate this play when you are the pre-flop raiser and get raised post-flop and then you don't know. Let's say you've got like pocket queens, right? And the board comes out like jack 5-4 and you bet and a guy like raises you, right? And you call, and now the turn you check and he bets really tiny. That's very indicative of a jack, like in hand like king jack ace jack. So the question is how do you play the turn? Do you make a small click up check raise, or do you sometimes just call and then just blast the river on a blank and make your hand look like a busted front door draw? That's what I call like an upfront bet. But here,
right.
I think I would just go to like 150 and bet the river. To be honest with you, if you want to call, you're gonna have to play like you got to get some value. If you call here, you got to blast a blank. I mean, that's how confident I am that you have the best hand here. But obviously, it doesn't
When
sound
when you
like
say blast, are you talking about like lead out, like everything busts and you just lead the river?
On the river, right? It's a unique scenario in a situation where somebody has taken the betting lead from you on the flop. You're unsure whether or not your hand is good, but their turn sizing is indicative and makes you know that your hand's good. So if I were to say to you, DJ, your hand's good now, right? You have two options, right? You can check raise, or on the river, you can lead out. The problem with calling and then checking the river is there's so many hands that are going to check back. Do you see what I'm saying? Like ace nine is
Right.
just going to check back. So what do? If you don't want to allow a check back, you have two options, right? You check raise now or you call and lead. I mean, I know it sounds
Right. I guess
strange, but
it sounds really strange.
yeah, yeah.
I, I guess from my perspective, this is really cool because I was not nearly as confident as you are now that I had the best hand on the turn.
Oh, dude, min
So,
raise on the flop and then a 1/4 pot size bet on the turn in position. This is just bread and butter live poker patterns. But I mean, like, if you don't have the experience, well, how would you know, right? You know what I
right,
mean? It's
right.
like, but I mean, this is stuff that's right in my wheelhouse. So what did you do here on the turn?
So I called,
Okay, hero
uh,
calls. Yep.
and the river rolls off the 10 of spades, counterfeiting my two pair.
Wow. So the front door spade draw comes in and it counterfeits your two pair.
Right.
Wow. I mean, that's terrible. Um, yeah, you might want to consider turning your hand into a bluff here. The issue, so there's two things that you can do here, right, at the end. But the
Right.
problem is that like there's so many just aces that are just gonna check back. Like obviously like you have very little showdown value here, and
Hmm.
if you check and it just goes check check, you lose. So that's why like you could just blast at the end again to represent the front door spade. Occasionally she might have a draw and she's just gonna call you. But what did you do now?
So I was thinking along those lines. I did not consider myself to have such as little showdown value as you say. I guess I thought that it would just go check check and she might give up something not something nonsensical like a king queen some sort of some percentage.
King queen.
Or like a say she's just pulling some nonsensical bluff. I don't know. I just feel like I see it.
I mean
Like I don't feel
people
like my showdown value is zero.
People,
So
well, I don't know, man. I don't see how you. People in the live chat are saying that like it could be spades, but the thing is that like it can't be 10x of spades because spades come in, right? With the
right.
10. So like I feel like a hand like king queen of spades, queen jack of spades is going to be taking command of this hand like a lot more than betting 1/4 pot on the turn. Anyways, it's an interesting hand. What did you do here at the end on the river?
Okay, so I checked. She bets 100 into like 315 or something.
Wow,
Uh,
I'm actually really surprised that she's betting here. So you check, hero checks, and now button bets 100. I'm just gonna fold now because like
okay,
the fact that she bets again here, like if you were to look at the hand ranges of like what she had, if she's betting again here, it's not like she's betting ace jack for value here. Maybe she did run into a flush, but I'm just gonna give it up now. You know?
okay. Well, I shipped it for like 540 more.
Oh man.
Because I was thinking I I don't have a better hand to bluff with than counterfeit two pair here.
Yeah, but that doesn't matter.
So
But I mean, yes, that's true in theory, but like your opponent's not thinking about that. Like I'm not gonna try to move a 2-5 like reg off of like a flush here to represent a full house, even if it makes a whole lot of sense and you have the right cards to do it with. You know what I'm saying? Like live poker at this level
right.
is mostly value. Sure, there are times to bluff, but I mean, I don't know if this one got through, but it would be very, very surprising if she has a flush here and fold, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's basically what I wanted to hear from you is like at this level, like I played much higher online, and this is just sort of mandatory.
Right. Well, yeah,
Like
okay. Right, right.
if you're not bluffing in these spots, people will never pay you off. So uh, I don't know. I guess I just kind of went instinctual.
Uh-huh.
It just feels like natural to bluff here. Anyway, she said that well, she like tank called down and then turned over 10-4 suited for the bottom full house. So
Wow.
it did not get through. So you were totally right, like dead on about the turn and everything,
I'm actually
which is
really
cool.
yeah, but the thing is, I'm actually really surprised at the sizing for 10-4. So 10-4 is bottom two, right? Like you had a hammerlock,
Yeah,
on the hand.
yeah,
I'm actually really surprised at the sizing with bottom two. Like I would have thought that the hand would have gone like a lot. It would have been like a lot larger. You know what I'm saying? The problem is that like let's say like the river's an offsuit deuce, right? You would really
hmm
feel fucking stupid, right, when she checks back 10-4 on the river, because that's what's going to happen,
yeah,
right? That's why you got to
right,
take
right,
the
right,
lead. That's why you have to take the lead away someplace. Whether that's blasting up
right.
from up front on the river, or check raising turn, or bet three betting the flop. But I mean, like I said, these are
Or
just like,
betting, yeah.
yeah, I mean, these are just like betting patterns, like I said, that I've picked up for a long time. But I like that. I like that one a lot. I appreciate it. Thanks for holding on. I really do appreciate it. I'm gonna try to go in order, guys, on the phone, because we had this little hiccup here. Who do I got next? I'm just gonna look at my notes. I have Doug. Doug is next. What's up, Doug? How you doing? Thanks for
Hey
being
Bart, how you been, man?
good.
Great running the monster stack, by the way. I was railing you the whole time.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is California Grand in the Bay Area.
Okay.
Three blind system, 223 with a button puts in the third blind.
Yep.
I'm about 500 effective. Villain is about 420.
Okay.
No information on the player. Seemed like a competent player. Only played with him for like an hour. I'm there pretty regularly. I don't see him that often, but yeah, he seemed like a competent player. It folds all the way around to me. I'm in the small blind. I have two red tens.
So you guys don't chop in this particular spot, really?
We do. I usually, I've chopped with aces when I'm in the big blind. It's just kind of
Right.
like it's like an unwritten rule there, especially at the California Grand. But that kind of put me. I offered chop, and even with two red tens, and he said no. So I realized that he.
The big blind, you mean
Yeah,
you offered in the middle of the hand or like before the hand?
Yeah, well, that's what happens when the button folds.
Oh,
It's
right,
small,
right, right. Yeah, those three blind configurations. Yeah, it's really weird, like the three blind configurations when I play up at the Bay. First of all, I always forget that I have a little bit of a blind on the button, and I
Yeah,
overfold. Like I don't overlimp when I should
absolutely.
basically overlimp with any two, because I'm getting such a price. And then I don't like I fold, and then people are like chop. Anyways, it's weird. Okay, so you've got tens in the small blind. Okay, yep,
Yeah, absolutely. And this is like 98% always chopped, so that
yeah,
kind of confused me a little bit. But I made it 15,
yeah.
and he called.
Okay,
Didn't take too long.
okay,
About 37 in the pot.
yep.
The flop is deuce deuce seven rainbow.
Oh, this hand's great. You guys are gonna love this one in the
Yeah,
chat. Yeah, deuce 2-7 rainbow. Okay, pretty good flop for you. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Really good flop for me. A lot of the time, I think. So I'm a tournament player, so I've watched you a lot, and I've kind of been trying to figure out, the optimal betting sizes in here. I led for 20. I think that's pretty standard. I don't know what you think about that.
yeah. I mean, I might even go a little bit larger than that, just to get ace
Exactly.
highs and stuff to call. But okay, so you lead for 20.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He took about 10 seconds. He called. I figured this is going to a lot of these times king, queen, ace high. Then they'll never fold in this spot, especially a reg.
yeah.
So I was happy to get money in there with that, the tens. So the turn, there's about 77 in the pot. The turn is another two. This is where it becomes pretty crazy. The button now goes, he screams for fuck, and then he screams at his buddy, I had a two. So we can deduce the two from his range for four of a kind.
Yeah.
Not saying that, that would be there likely anyways, but so that's going to put a little caveat in this hand. But I led for 40.
So the pot is like
Um,
the pot's like 77. The board's deuce
Yeah.
7 deuce. You bet 40.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I really like my hand, obviously, and I still thought I could get with the guy saying the deuce. That guy realized that. I mean, I think I could still get a lot of ace highs calls,
Sure.
fours through sixes.
No,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah.
So he takes about 20 seconds, and he called. You know,
Yeah.
I'm confident any non-face card. I'm
I mean,
probably going to blast the
I
river.
think in this extreme configuration where it's like blind versus blind, unless you've got some sort of crazy read where I'm just gonna look at this hand like the guy wasn't chopping, because there's a live intangible here where like he might not be chopping because he's got aces. So I don't know if that's like like if he has been chopping before and then you look down and you're like chop and he's like no, that has to stick out in the back of your mind if he had chopped before. This is just a little live wiggle. But if we're just playing this without that sort of information, right, I would tend to go a little bit larger. But you bet 40 into 77. He calls, the pot's 157, right? And he's got like, what, 360 left. So about 2 pot size bets left. Okay, what's the river?
Yeah. The river is a 6, no flush. Really safe card for our hand, obviously. And I honestly thought about checking and, letting him blast off with anything, any 6, king, queen, ace highs that think that I might be just giving up here.
No, I'm not a big fan. I mean, if you heard here's the thing with that, Doug, is that, again, live players don't value bet enough. Now, with that being said, there is a live player even at 2-2-3 might bet a 7 here, right? It's deuce, deuce, 7, deuce, 6, right? Which is a full house.
Yes.
But for you to check to get the player to value own themselves or also to basically bluff, they would either have to have a bluff that they're calling with the flop and the turn with, which would be like a non-ace high Broadway hand, or like, some sort of, or have ace high and bet at the end, and that's not going to happen. They're just going to check it back. So that's why I would never check here. Never check here.
Okay. So that's what my group was going back and forth with. It was pretty split.
Small blind versus big blind? What group? What? Tell me the group that split with you. Holy shit.
A lot of them are listeners. And I thought this was a no-brainer. I mean, it's just a no-brainer spot. If I get stacked, I get stacked. I let out 100.
Okay, so you're betting 100 into
about 160, 157 roughly.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
What do you think about that sizing?
I think I would probably go a little bit smaller. I'm trying to get the call. I would have gone larger early and then smaller here at the end. You see what I'm saying? Larger early and smaller here at the end. But that's whatever. So by the way, too, like if you had a hand like aces here, okay, just as a caveat, I probably would just go larger throughout every street, because then there's less of a chance that your opponent has ace high and is calling you down, more of a chance that they have a pair. That's just a little side thing, specifically with aces. I might go like 50 to 75. Okay, so you bet 100 into 177. Okay.
Yes, I agree with you on the aces sentiment too. But I made it 100, and he thought for about 40 seconds, and I'm pretty hip to like what people are doing with their cards. He was shuffling it. He kind of did the almost like the fake muck, and he was sighing. A little bit of Hollywood. So I kind of picked up on that, and he ended up shoving on me for about another. I think it was 320, 360. I think it's 320.
So 320 total. 320 total, right?
Yeah.
So the pot's what, 40, and it's like 57. What you said was you raised 20 pre, so 60, 80, 120, 160, 260, 360, and another 220 is about 580, 220 for you to call, if my math is right.
Yes.
So
that's about right.
Here's the thing. Like, as crazy as it seems, you can really overfold in spots like this. Now, I'm not saying that I'm going to fold, because I would just look at your hand as a bluff catcher here, really. And that, I mean, some guys, it's not super, super common, Doug, but some guys will just try to like put you to the test at, even at the small stakes if he's like maniacal. But let me just say this. I don't think he's doing this with a worse value hand. Okay? So he either has you beat or he's bluffing. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
I mean, he's not doing this with like 6-7 or pocket 8s or pocket 9s. That's what I really feel like. So at 580 for 220, what do you lose to here? Well, you lose to a deuce, right? You lose to pocket sevens, and you lose
No
to
deuces, yeah,
you
because
lose
the
to
guy, but yeah.
you lose to you didn't think so you lose to pocket sevens and pocket sixes, and then like I said, I don't know if there's that caveat in there where he said don't chop, and he could have aces here
Hmm.
too. So if he doesn't have a deuce,
Exactly.
but he's got sevens and sixes and aces, that's 12 hands. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, it would be an exploitable fold. I have made folds like this before. It's a bluff catcher. You have a bluff catcher. So I can't sit here and tell you whether or not you should call versus this guy or not, but I want you to recognize that it's a bluff catcher. What did you end up doing?
I mean, I honestly thought about. I've been trying to be more exploitive in these situations, just because I've really been able to harness my life skills the past few years, and that's been more profitable for just my play style.
Sure.
But I really thought about folding, and I just didn't know if he would do this with aces or eights or nines.
No, that's no way. I mean, if you talk yourself into that, then okay. I mean, I can get it, but that's just that. He's not going to turn over eights. He's not going to turn over eights and nines. I'm sorry. There's just no way. Have you ever heard of this? It sounds to me like you called and you lost. I don't know the result. Was that what happened?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I called, after about 45 seconds, and he turned over sevens full.
Yeah.
Which makes a whole lot of sense. The guy yelling out the deuce was kind of an interesting part of this hand. He actually got a penalty for that. But
you got a penalty? What is it? This isn't a it's not a tournament, is it?
In a cash game, like they made him sit out for it was really weird. But
why would they do that? That's so stupid.
I don't know. And I didn't even complain.
That's
I
crazy.
Didn't even complain.
Yeah, that's
the
crazy.
dealer called the floor. Yeah.
Wow.
So I agree. It's just I think now that I look back at this hand, you're right. I don't think that it is a bluff catcher, as crazy as that sounds.
There are situations like this where it's a bluff catcher. Thank you for your patience, Doug. Thanks for the call.
Yeah, no worries, Bart.
You guys are really hanging in there. I appreciate it. And we're gonna go to Sean next here, who always calls in high stakes hands. Sean, thanks for being patient.
Not at all. How are you, Bart?
Good. How you doing? You're stateside now, or what?
No. I'm still here in camp.
Oh, okay. Cool. So you got a hand for us?
I'm here until the end of September. I do, yes.
Okay.
So it's a 10.25 with a mandatory straddle at 50 at the Monte Carlo Casino.
Okay.
Effective stack size is 19,400, and I'm the effective stack.
19,400, and you are the effective stack. By the way, I looked at your Instagram. I think it's pretty cool. I don't know if you want to share it with people out there, but your handle?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Dr. Sean Area, yeah?
Yeah, Dr. Sean Area. Okay, so 10, 25, 50, 19,400 effective, okay.
Yeah, so I had literally sat down maybe 15, 20 minutes ago with 20K.
Uh-huh.
So I have no idea about any patterns or, what people play, etc.
Yeah.
I'm under the gun +1, and I have King, Queen of Hearts, and I open to 200.
Hero +1, 200, okay. King of Hearts, Queen of
Yep,
Hearts.
middle position calls, hijack calls, button calls, and the big blind also calls.
Wow, this is like what we had talked about, like what are the nature of these games, because usually if you see a game like this, unless it's on a live stream, it's pretty rare to go call, right? Like at stakes this level, people are going to squeeze or whatever. These guys are, did any of them look like Euro pros, or was more like recreational look?
Like I said,
no clue.
I literally had sat down, like 10 minutes prior to this. So I played one hand, and then this was my second hand.
Yeah.
So I have no idea about anyone really yet.
Yeah. Okay.
So the pot's €1,000,
Yep.
and the flop comes 10 of clubs, 9 of hearts, 5 of hearts.
So you flop gut shot to a jack and a flush draw, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
The second nut flush draw and the gut shot to a jack.
Yep.
So the big blind checks, and I bet 550.
So this is interesting because when you sent this one in here too, when the big blind, the button, the hijack, and MP1 call, right? So it's four ways. I don't think this is a mandatory bet here. With the 5 ways, right, into 4
yeah.
people. I don't think this is a mandatory bet. Like, let's say, for example, you had like the naked nut flush draw here, like ace 6 of hearts or something like that, right? I think you might be
Right.
doing a fair amount of checking here, and it could be the same thing. I don't think it's terrible to bet with that much equity, but possibly you might want to look at the draws that are even a little less nutted and lower to do your betting here. This multi-way, like a 7-8 of hearts or a queen jack of hearts with a little bit more equity and sort of less. I mean, you don't have the nut flush draw, right? Obviously, gutter to a jack. I'm just saying that it's not just like a slam dunk bet. You bet 550, which is pretty large multi-way. It can cause some issues if you raise. Like I said, I don't think it's a mistake or anything. It's just something to think about. Okay, so you bet 550.
Right.
Yep.
So middle position calls. The hijack also calls. And I'm sorry, wait a second. I got this wrong. Sorry. I bet 550. Middle position calls. Hijack raises to 2750.
Ah, okay. Raises to 2750. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And now the button, he 3-bets to 7,000.
Wow. And everybody's 20,000 deep. 3-bet 7,000, right?
Yeah, I'm the smallest stack at the table. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm the shortest stack at the table.
So you bet 550, king, queen of hearts on 10 of clubs, 9 of hearts, 5 of hearts, right?
Correct.
MP1 calls, hijack raises to 2750, button 3-bets to 7,000.
Yeah.
The
big blind folds, and the action's back on me.
See, now that
I just felt like this was a jam or fold. There was no like, trying to
I think because the pot's going to be so big. I think I would. By the way, too, it's interesting to note that the 10 is not a heart. So if somebody thinks that they're like, here's the thing. I think that I would probably jam here in the hopes that if somebody has the nut flush draw in between there, that you're going to fold them out, right? Your hand's got a boatload of equity, unless here's where your hand runs into trouble, Sean. It's one of the first tips I've ever put out on Twitter. You beware of a multi-way situation where you're up against a made hand and a dominating draw, because that's a recipe for 0% equity. Now, king, queen of hearts would have 0%, but it would be doing very, very poorly against the nut flush draw and a made hand, right? You'd be basically screwed. But I feel like if you do jam here, that I don't really know how the nut flush draw is going to call. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, even the hijack who makes it 2750, I don't even know. I mean, I guess it's possible. Like, MP can't call that cold, though. And if the button has the nut flush draw for some reason, you're not doing, like, awful. Unless he has ace 10 of hearts here, which you're probably still, like, 30% against. I mean, 2 overs, you're blocking hearts, and a gut shot to a jack, right?
Right.
It's not, like, getting it in, like, terrible. And I think that, say, for example, the hijack has 10-9 here. I think it's a tough call for the hijack to put in all that money with 10-9. I mean, I know he blocks like a lot of the sets, but he could have a set of 5s behind him. He's the initial raiser, right?
Right.
So, it's like one of these things where, I mean, if somehow you could clean up a hand and then you're up against just the nut flush draw, I think I would probably jam for the reasons that you were talking about, that the pot is going to be so big here. If you think that, I mean, you don't really know anything, right? So you don't really know anything about these guys, so you don't know if the guys are going to necessarily fold out. But that would be my initial reaction here.
Right.
Yeah.
That was the main question, because I did not call. I folded because I just felt like
I don't think it's. I mean, I can get on board here with the fold as well, but that's my initial reaction. Is to, I don't think you're probably not giving up that much. I think you're right in the sense that you can't really call, right? You know what I mean? Like, calling is just like I think calling would be the worst. The worst option.
Yeah.
Right? Because then you're not going to get fold equity in between. So you folded. What ended up happening?
Yeah. So the turn was the jack of clubs, and
Oh
the
wow.
river was a blank.
So what happened with the
But I
hijack?
was
The
actually,
hijack did the hijack just call? The MP folded and
yeah, the
hijack called?
hijack called.
Yeah.
Yeah, the hijack had a set of nines,
Uh-huh.
and called, and the other guy had ace jack of hearts. So I was up against the absolute worst draws, but I would have been
But you would, yeah, but
the
you, if
nuts,
you had
obviously.
jammed though, you would have been screwed, right? Because I mean, unless the
I would have been
button,
screwed, yeah, because
I don't know. I mean,
the high the per,
I guess
the
the button's
button which
gonna get
bet
2-1, right?
7,000,
Yeah, he's gonna get 2-1,
the
right?
button who bet 7,000, he
Yeah,
had the ace jack of hearts, so he
right,
was never folded.
right. So he was gonna get 2-1. So you would have scooped the pot though, huh?
I would have scooped the pot, yeah, but
Yeah.
I mean, I think it was considering I had literally no money in the pot, it was probably it was a good play, I think.
Well,
So,
here's the thing that it's very very rare for the button, I feel like, to show up with a nut flush draw there, because look at, I mean, you know, if you knew the button, you're like, this guy goes wild with draws, I'm scared the button might have the nut flush draw. I could definitely lean towards more of a fold. But if you're looking at this in a vacuum and you bet and it goes call raise, how often is the guy gonna 3-bet the nut flush draw? It's pretty
well, he
stupid to
shouldn't.
do that, right? Yeah, that's what I'm
It
saying.
is.
It's pretty
It is.
yeah, it's really, I mean, you're up
I
against,
think he
he's up
just
against a made
looked at his
hand.
cards and
Yeah.
yeah, I think he just looked at his cards and thought he has two overs and the nut flush draw, and he's got so much equity, etc., etc. But you know,
Yeah.
he could have been up, which he was. He was up against a set. He had very little equity in reality. So
Right. I just
don't know
like
why
I
he
said,
did
when
that, but
when you're looking at, you know, you always have to take these things like in a vacuum a little bit if you have absolutely no information, unless I'm seeing something totally crazy, and even though it's in Monte Carlo and it's high stakes, I would have to say, okay, it's high stakes. These guys would have to be at least a little bit competent here. How often is the button gonna show up with the nut flush draw? And the thing
with the
is
nut
that,
flush
and
draw,
the
yeah.
other people in between, like say the hijack raised with the nut flush draw. You know, if it went call 2750, and then let's say the button say like folded, and then like you know, jam. Well, I guess the pot would have been really big. I'm trying to think of. Yeah, okay. So let's say that the hijack made it 2750, the button made it, you know, 7,000, and you jammed. The guys in between up front might not call off with the naked nut flush draw, right? Because if they're up
They
against,
wouldn't. They
yeah,
shouldn't.
they're up against sets.
Yeah.
They're not going to get, you know, they're going to 3-1 dog. So that was my thinking. You see what I'm saying? As long as the button doesn't have the nut flush
Yeah.
draw.
No.
So, anyway, Sean, as always, I appreciate it. Thank you very much for the call.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Thanks for your time.
All right, cool. All right, let's go
Take it easy,
to
bud.
let's go to Hayden. Is that right? Hayden here. All right, I'm going to ask, is this Hayden?
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, hey Hayden, thanks for waiting online.
Okay, cool. The game I want to review on is a 5-5-10 at the bicycle.
Oh,
It's
okay.
it's a game like early in the morning, like about 6 o'clock. So we're like the last table, so we're literally the last three poker players in the room.
So I wanted to ask you a
And,
question. When you emailed me in, Hayden, I don't know if you're a regular there, but this is a new structured game there, right? Is it 1,500 buy-in or something? Like they just started doing it.
I don't know. I'm not a regular at the bicycle.
Oh, okay.
But they have their Oceans as well. So
Yeah,
I think it's just a new thing, the next level after the $5 games. I guess.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
So there's three guys. We're effective me, which is about 2.1K,
Okay.
and so I'm on the button, and I got the $10 button straddle thing, and
Oh, it's a button
the villain's in
straddle.
the-
It's a button straddle?
yeah.
Oh, because you
Well,
guys
it's a 5-5-10, and I'm on the button.
and you're
so I have to
playing
put the $10 there.
because you're playing three-handed.
Yeah, but when I got to the table, they said, "Hey, it's 5-5-10."
Okay, but you're
And I just treated it like it was a 5-5-10 with the 10 straddle.
but you're three-handed, right? Am I correct?
Yeah. That's
Okay,
right,
so the
yeah.
button's straddle. Okay, so you're in a good spot. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the villain's in the big blind, and the third player is not really doesn't really matter.
Okay.
But he completes a small blind, and then the villain makes it 55. He usually makes it 55 or 65 pre-flop. And then I have king 3 of clubs on the button, and so I think this is enough to go to see a flop. So I call as well.
And the small blind
And then
folds.
small blind. No, small blind calls.
Small blind calls. So what I was going to say here is this is interesting because when you emailed me ahead of this one in, like three-handed, I think a lot of nitty guys would be like, oh, just fold, just fold. Some guys would be like three bet. And then some guys would be like, call. I think your hand is too strong to fold. I mean, it's 5-5
Right.
10. I mean, he did make it large, but I mean, you're three-handed. You have a suited king. The question becomes, do you want to try to drive the small blind out if he's playing like a limp anything type of strategy? You know, we had somebody post
Right.
talking about like, well, you know, this new school like three bet linearly. Like I like three bet like the bottom part of my playing range, and I said no, actually you're supposed to three bet the better hands and call with the bottom part of your playing range. I don't hate the call. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't hate the call as a the bottom part of your playing range here. So you make the call. Okay, three ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the villain in the big blind, he has like 5,000, and he's very aggressive, likes to thin value a lot.
Yeah.
So I don't really want to play too bloated of a pot. I'm not going to get that many folds, is what I mean.
hmm
And I only have, and also the small blind is kind of a weak player, so I don't really care if he sees the flop out of position.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I get a really dream flop. We'd already been playing a lot of hands, so I get a really dream flop of ace of club, six of club, and five of clubs.
Ace of clubs, six of clubs, five of clubs. Okay, wow, you flop it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the pot's 165, and it's a really nice board because there's an ace on the board.
Sure.
So small blind checks, big blind bets 65. So so since we're really deep, I want to try and play for stacks. So I raise it to 175.
Okay.
And then the small blind folds.
So I'm a big fan. I don't
And-
know if you know my work, but I'm a big fan of playing the nut flush draw fast. Now, the only thing about your hand is that what's interesting here is that because you have king three, it means that somebody could actually have a queen high flush draw here too. Whereas usually,
Right.
like in a regular full-handed game, you're not playing king three. Like you're gonna have king jack or king queen. But I do feel like if you fast play the nut flush, it's actually the best way to get the most amount of action. People are like, oh, well, you're not raising anything else, unbalanced. I mean, I can sort of acknowledge that, but if you wake up like on the turn or call again on the turn and raise the river, like if I have the queen high flush here, or let's say I have a nine high flush and you play the hand fast, you're going to get pretty much all my money. But if I go bet and you call and I bet turn and you call and then I bet the end and you raise, I'm just calling. You see what I'm saying? So
Right.
I'm a pretty big fan of playing the nut flush fast. Okay, so 175 and big blind calls, right?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, he calls pretty quickly.
Yeah.
He's pretty loose aggressive, so he calls pretty quickly. Small blind folds. Oh, sorry. And then we go see the turn, and the turn is a pretty nice card. It's an eight of hearts.
Okay.
So it's another brick.
Yep.
And then he checks pretty quickly, and so I bet 250.
So the pot's like 500, right? Something like that, ish.
Let's see, 175.
130.
Yeah.
So you bet 250. I mean, so if he makes the call, the pot's going to be 1,000, and you're going to have like 1,500 left. I mean, I probably would get the whole purpose of you raising the flop though is so that you can get some more money in the pot, right? I mean, I probably would have bet like maybe 375 to 400 here.
Yeah, that probably would have been a better size. Yeah, I was trying to bet a size that would be enough to induce, but also continue to build the pot. Because if he's only going to call me on the turn, then
yeah, but if
he
you've
might
got
not
king
have a big
three
enough hand to call all in.
Yeah, but induce what though? I mean, you've got king three of clubs, right? People don't like suddenly just wildly bluff on a monotone board when they have no flush in their hand, right?
Right.
So that's why I would just go
I
375 to 400,
right.
you know. But okay, you bet 250.
If I bomb the turn, then I'm representing a pretty big flush. Whereas if I just bet the turn, you know, I could have an ace with the club, or I could have some bluffs, and he would have to go see the river with just an ace. I'm trying to attack like his hands that have an ace as well, to put him in a because I think I just bomb the turn and he has an ace. Yeah, he could just call and then he's gonna check the river and then how's he gonna call like an all in with just an ace on the river?
Yeah, but this is where I get back though. I mean, you're still gonna get more value though betting earlier than possibly
Right.
later. But anyway, so you bet 250. He makes the
Right.
call. The pot's like 1,000. Okay. Yeah.
No, he instant raised me to 650.
Oh, okay. So
Right.
big blind raises to 650. So at this point, if you were to call, the pot would be what, 1,800, and you've got like 12, 11 or 12 left in your stack. Is that right? About
Yeah, I've
13.
actually I've got 12. I've got 1290 left. If I call, I'll have even less.
Yeah.
No. If I call, I have 1290. You're right. Yeah.
Okay, so if you call, you have
Which
12.
would be
It's supposed to be 13, and then 1,800. So you've got about 2/3 of a pot size bet left. I mean, it's hard to fuck this hand up, right? Like, I mean, my gut reaction would be like, even though I like the fast play stuff, like I would probably call here. This might be one of the one rare times where it's like you can't really go that wrong with calling, because you're probably going to call with every other hand that you have. Like if you flopped a set and you decide to play it fast, or even like bottom two or aces up, you're not going to rejam. So the chances that the guy, if there is like a bluffing frequency, you don't want to make him possibly like make some sort of crazy hero fold to your 3-bet. And the chances of a fourth club rolling off are pretty slim when you have 2 clubs in your hand. So I would probably call here in position to the raise. Did you just jam?
Yeah, I tank jam.
Okay.
The way I thought, if he has a flush, he's never folding here, which I think is definitely true.
Yeah.
I think if he has a set, he's also not folding. But I'm not sure if he has a set. But if he has a set, he's also not folding.
Mm-hmm.
In a 3-handed game, 6 in the morning, where the game's already been crazy up to this point already.
Yeah.
And I felt like I was looking at the number of action-killing cards, right? So there's about 6 out of 42 cards that are going to be flushes.
Right.
And so that's 14%, which means if he has an ace, he's not going to put any more money on that river.
Yeah, but is he really check raising with just an ace though on the turn? I mean, that's where I think that. I mean.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, what does he check raise? That's what I'm saying. Like, it's like.
Oh, because I bet the 250, which is a little bit.
Yeah, but I mean, a guy's not going to check raise like an ace X here. I mean, he's really representing a polar range here on the turn. So, kind of going back to what you were saying before. I mean, usually you don't see somebody bluff here that much, but if it's somewhat of a polar range, then if he does have some bluffs, then by calling, you're allowing him to continue to bluff. You know what I'm saying? Listen, like, I'm all for fast playing. I'm all for fast playing. I just think in this particular situation, my gut instinct would be to call. So you jam, and did you get paid off or what?
No, he tanked forever, and he folded, and it was he picked up like maybe 1 or 2 hands after this hand, because he was. Just like background, he was stuck in the game a lot. If he makes this $1,200 call or $1,300 call, he's gonna be negative for the night, because he's not gonna be able to recuperate. It's very unlikely he's gonna be able to recuperate those chips off me in the next 30 minutes to an hour of action.
It's interesting. It would be interesting to find out what he check raise folded there. I mean, it's kind of. I mean, like I said,
I'm pretty sure he's ace heavy here. Because like I said, he's very aggressive, and he's very willing to put like thin values on the river when he's got the aggression. But I felt like I don't think he, which is why I thought maybe I messed up this hand. Maybe I should call, because he could end up putting like a small block a bit on the river.
Well, if you've got a guy, if you've got a guy that's like sometimes making a thin, say for example, he had like ace 8 suited here. That might be a hand that makes sense, right? Okay. So you raised the flop. He didn't get rid of it. He had a backdoor straight draw on the turn because you down bet. He's like, oh, this guy doesn't.
Well, he has down like ace king, ace queen.
Yeah, but I don't know if he's going to check raise those turns though with that to a down bet. But even still, that's why I still think it's like a call in position. But I appreciate the call, anyways. Take it easy, and then we're gonna go to our last caller here, which is I think Dave. I think we missed one guy, but is this Dave or Curtis?
David.
Hey, what's up, Dave? I guess we're missing this guy, Curtis. I guess I lost him. But thanks for holding on, Dave. Appreciate it. We had some technical difficulties in the beginning.
No problem. I had a kind of non-standard hand from last Wednesday at
Okay.
Stones.
So this was on the
Both
Stone.
because
Was this out on the Stones Live poker stream?
Yes, it was.
Okay. So that's a 5-5, right, on a Wednesday, probably pretty deep, right?
Yeah, we were playing 5-5-10 the whole time.
So 5-5-10 match stack. Was Postle in the game?
No, I checked before I went up there.
Oh yeah. Okay,
So it
cool.
was actually played like a pretty normal game. So
Oh,
if
I'll
you
have to
want
check that one
to-
out. I'm gonna look. So this was this past Wednesday. I'll have to check that one out. For,
Yeah, this past Wednesday it was at 3 hours and 40 minutes. If people are curious.
Because I mean, I love the guys up at Stones. My issue recently with using a lot of their footage for training material is just the game is just like isn't really representative of a game that people play. You know what I'm saying? I mean, live at the bike sometimes can be bad enough, but when you get guys that are playing 1-3 with like 5K stacks, that's why I was so excited to be able to use the Jacksonville Best Bet footage, because that game plays like a normal game. Thanks for Russ McGinley in the live chat. Give him a shout out for hooking me up, helping me hook up with that. And I'm going down to Jacksonville on October 11th. I'm going to be one of their bounties, but it's always exciting when people say Stones, hey, it wasn't so wild. And of course, I'll be up there at some point on a Wednesday too.
Well, what helped was Harlan and AC busted out and didn't stay the whole time.
Yeah, no, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. When if Harlan and Postle aren't in the game tends to play somewhat normal. But I went back and looked at all their footage over the last year and a half, and it's only been a few times when neither one of them are in the game. So, anyways, okay. So 5-5-10 match stack. Yep.
Yeah. So I'll be quick with the player backgrounds, but it's relevant. So the straddle, Mark, you've seen him play. He likes to straddle to 100 every time.
Okay.
And he buys in short.
Okay.
So he had $500 leading into his straddle. So he had $100 out there, 400 behind.
So the straddle has 500, and he straddles for 400.
No, he straddles.
I mean, straddle for 100. Straddles for 100, right? Okay. So 5-5. Okay.
Normally it's 5-5-10.
Right.
He's the only one that's doing 5-5-100.
Yep.
So that's a little bit weird there, but that's how he plays. And then if he has any piece of the flop, he calls, and then if he will usually call pre-flop, and then if he has any piece, he'll just ship it. So that's his normal thing. He has a very high VPIP.
Right.
So it folds. I'm in the small blind. I'm the effective stack of the reasonable size stacks of about 3K.
Okay.
So on the button, it folds to the button, and Dave, who's an older guy, you've seen him play. He's got a goatee. He's very tight, but reasonably so. He'll open it up pre-flop with ace-5 suited, things like that. He's not super knit, but he's tight.
Mm-hmm.
So he raises to 270.
Okay, so it gets folded the button, raised to 270. You're in the small blind. You're 3K effective, okay?
And I have ace-jack of clubs.
I mean, I know it sounds crazy. I mean, look, like, so you're playing like 30 big blinds effective almost. I mean, people don't look at it that way, obviously. This guy made a 2.7x raise. But your hand has to fare to be good here. Now, it probably wouldn't even be crazy for you to shove looking at the math. I know that seems crazy, right? Because you're playing 5-5-10. That's normal, except for this one guy. And you're like, am I going to put my entire stack in for 3,000 here? But the guy makes it 2.7. I mean, you could 3-bet, to like 8. You're deep enough. 8 to 9. And then if you don't think he's fucking around, fold to a jam. Or you could just shove yourself here too and pick up $500. I mean, it's a button open, and you're in the small blind, but I do think I would 3-bet here.
Yeah, I mean, he is tight, though. I felt like it was one of those hands, based on him specifically, that my hand might be not good enough to raise with.
People are saying
definitely too good to fold.
Trivial fold. What are you talking? Fold? What the guy? There's a straddle to 100, and the button makes it 270, and he's got ace-jack of clubs. What the fuck? Anyways, okay. So what did you? So okay. So if you think it's in between, you called, right?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Yep.
And then, as expected, Mark completes. So now he has 320 behind.
Okay.
The 325 behind.
Okay.
So the flop comes Jack of Hearts, 10 of Hearts, 7 of Hearts.
So the pot is like 700 and change. This guy
830 right now.
Okay, so this is a really weird spot, right? So 830 right now, the guy in the straddle basically has like 200 left, right? He's put in half his stack or 250 left, and then you're playing
325 left.
Then you're playing against the guy on the side. I mean, this is not the best flop for you. I would check and see what the hell is going on here. But I know it's going to get strange, right? If you check and then the short stack shove. So, okay.
Well, here's where it went a little strange, and I made an exploit. But so I check, and then Mark, the guy in the straddle, goes all in for 325.
Okay.
So knowing him, I know that he would do that with almost all of his range, anything that either connected with the flop, even a tiny bit, even just one pair, or any heart, single heart in his hand.
Yep.
If he had any bit of equity, he's just going with it.
Mm-hmm.
And then Dave, the original raiser, he just flats the 325.
So 325 in all in into 830. The button flat, so that means the pot is the pot's like
1480.
Yeah, 1480. And if you call, you'll have like 2400 back, right? Is that right? Something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I think I would.
So Dave.
Yeah, he calls.
Well, I'll tell you what I thought. Yeah.
Okay.
So Dave thought about it for a while. We had been sitting next to each other. He had shared with me that he had folded queens already twice tonight. I've seen him make some very questionably overly tight folds to aggression, both previous streams and that night.
Yeah.
Based on him being so tentative with his call of the 325, I felt like I was probably good against Mark, but I actually felt, based on my read at the time, that I was behind Dave, that he wasn't messing around with a weak ace, that he had probably queens or kings. And if he didn't have a heart in his hand, I felt like I could get him to fold because I've seen him make those folds before. So I wanted to turn my top into a bluff against Dave because I felt my range against the short stack Mark, I was ahead of his range.
Yeah, so I mean,
I turned my ace jack into a bluff.
Well, I mean, that's called a combo bet, right? So combo bet, another made-up term, is a rare situation where you can get better to fold and worse to call. But in this particular situation, the guy's already all in. So what you're basically saying is that you think you're ahead of the short stack, and you can actually basically kind of like semi-bluff your hand almost, right? I mean, you don't have air, but you might get the guy to fold out like ace queen with the queen of hearts or like black kings or some shit like that, right?
Yeah. And that's what I thought. And I remember you talking about betting into a dry side pot. The only times you really want to do it, besides with a made hand, is if you think you can get the better hand on the side to fold and that you can still win against the main.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I made a small enough raise where I thought I was getting a really good price on my, the combo bluff there, and raised it up to like 780. I made it small.
So if you want to make this play, right, then obviously you're going to fold if the guy jams, and then if he calls, I don't know if I'm putting any more money in. You know what I'm saying? Like if your read is Okay. All right, then I can get on board. So you make it 780. Did you get the guy to fold?
I did. He thought and thought and thought, and then he was tighter folded than I even thought. He folded 2 queens with the queen of hearts.
Wow, with the queen of hearts. Well,
yeah. So I looked at him and said, "You folded the."
Well, I think that you might. I mean, I think you rightly recognize, Dave, that people don't fuck around a lot in like big pots like this, right? You're putting money in on the side, and if this guy is as tight as it sounds like, then it seems like you might have had a massive amount of fold equity, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But you could have made. Well, I guess no, you probably wouldn't want to make that. But so you got the guy to fold, and then what did the guy in the big blind have? The short stack.
Well, it turns out that Mark had the top of his range. He flopped a set of sevens, but
wow,
that was.
And he didn't jam the rest of his money in after it went 270 call. He called off half his stack instead. What the fuck?
Yes. He was a special player, but that's why I felt like I was going to be ahead of his range, and I felt like I was behind Dave. So I kind of wanted your thoughts on both, like pre-flop, if it had been like a normal size thing, or
No, I mean,
it's
interesting. I mean, here's the thing, too, for that short stack, right? So if you're dealing with, if he's doing that kind of shit with a short stack, right? He's got 500 in front of him, so he put 100 out. The button made it 270 and you called, right? So the button's raises to 170. As long as he has 440 total, right, which he does because he started the hand with 500, if he jams, he can reopen the betting. If I had 7-7 in his spot, I can reopen the betting, and then the guy in the button can 3-bet, and we're heads up, and then I have your dead money in there. So that's a pretty poor play by him. Yeah, your play, I mean, listen, it's very, very player specific, right? But I get where you're going. So, I mean, it ended up working out for you, even though you're in third place, you're in second place. But what are you going to do? Thanks for the call, as always, Dave. I appreciate it.
Thanks, bud.
All right, guys. Well, that's going to wrap it up for us this week. So I'm not exactly sure what happened, but at least now, if that happens next week, I'll know to just restart the encoder. Because I've never had that shit happen to me before where the thing just didn't stream. But it was really odd because the chat didn't work in the beginning.
I say the house of pain is in effect.
Anyways, if you want to get your call in, shoot me an email, bart@crushlivepoker.com, and pre-submit. We'll be back here next week at the same time. Have a good night, everybody.
In the eye, and then I'll take the punks out, feeling funky. Amps in the trunk, and I got more rhymes than this cops at a Dunkin' Donut shop. Sure enough, I got props from the kids on the hill, plus my mom and my pops. I came to get down, so get out your seat and jump around, jump around, jump around, jump around, jump up and get down. Steps up, I'm smacking the hump. Word to your moms, I came to drop bombs. I got more rhymes and the bottle's got songs. And just like the prodigal son, I've returned. Anyone stepping on me, you'll get burned. Cause I got lyrics, but you ain't got none. If you come to battle, bring a shotgun. But if you do, you're a fool, cause I do to the death. Trying to step to me, you take your last breath. I got the skill, come get your fill. Cause when I shoot the gift, I shoot the kill. I came to get down, So get out your seat and jump around, jump around. Jump around, jump around, jump up and get down. Jump, 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 everybody jump, 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 everybody jump, 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 I'm the cream of the crop, I rise to the top. I never eat a pig cause a pig is a cop, or better yet a Terminator, like Arnold Schwarzenegger. Trying to play me out like as if my name was Sega, but I ain't going out like no punk bitch. Get used to one style of yo when I might switch it up and around, then buck, get down, put out your head and then you wake up in the dawn of the dead. I'm coming to get ya, spitting out lyrics, homie, I want ya. I came to get down, so get out your seat and jump around.